Alright everyone, so this is the second video of a sort of two-part or two-sided message about National Suicide Prevention Week. Yesterday I had made a video reaching out to people who were looking to help someone else or who needed some help themselves if they were thinking about suicide. And I listened to your comments, I saw your feedback, and it sounds like there was a desire for that message to also be split so that it could be shared specifically with certain people. So I went ahead and did that because I think the ultimate goal here is to get these messages out, get this message shared. So in my first video, I talked about how to help someone else. And in this second video, I'm going to talk about a little bit about how to get help for yourself. And this is a little bit trickier of a subject. And I've been kind of hesitating on making this because I'm not sure exactly how to approach it. So again, quickly, if you didn't see the first video, I was a writer for many years. I was laid off. I do have a suicide attempt in my past. I live with major depressive disorder. And when I was laid off 4 years ago, it was a big setback, but it wasn't the huge setback that it could have been if I hadn't already been maintaining and working on my mental health. And that experience, while I was in the middle of that experience, I stumbled on an ad to become a crisis hotline counselor. I answered it on a whim. I was, I was working in writing, but I had lost my love for it, and I was looking for something else to do. And using my own experiences in the past with depression and suicide, it seemed like a really good fit for me. And it was, and I've learned a lot from doing it. I have very recently stepped away from that, and I'm going to get more into why I did that as we go on. So for me, the most important thing with feeling suicidal, with thinking about hurting yourself, is that you really need to make an honest assessment. You really need to ask yourself, am I thinking about killing myself? And I think it's really important to be forgiving when you ask yourself that, and understand that everyone at some point in time is going to think about ending their life. It's incredibly natural. And I used to tell people this on the phone that were hesitant or that felt, silly, who felt weird about calling about this. And I really want to again thank my subscriber Ken for bringing this up as well. And he was a huge help in putting these videos together. One of the biggest things when people call in, they feel silly about calling. And I think you need to get that out of your head. If something in your life is going on that is making you think about ending your life, it is not silly. I may not see why you're that upset about it. My opinion on it is irrelevant. What matters is how you feel and what you're going to do about it. And that is really the most important thing, is what are you going to do about it? And I want to read a quote that I stumbled across actually just yesterday while I was putting together the larger video, the longer video. But this is a quote by the writer Joe Kader. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I just stumbled across these words yesterday, but this is a sort of life model that I've been living by for the past 10, 12 years. And when I came to this realization in the middle of, gosh, what was I doing back then? Probably meth. So it really just sort of hit me that I kept wasting my time waiting for someone or something to inspire me to change, waiting for someone to make me want to get better. And it hit me that the only person that was ever going to come around in my life that I could rely on to do that was myself. And that is what this quote by Joe is about. So it says, of all the people you will know in a lifetime, you are the only one you will never leave or lose. To the question of your life, you are the only answer. To the problems of your life, you are the only solution. And I cannot stress that enough. It's no one else's responsibility but yours to maintain your mental health. And when I say that, I am not saying that to someone whose condition is so severe that they cannot take care of themselves. That happens, that exists. I'm not talking, that's not who this message is for. This message is for people like myself who have mental health conditions that are impeding them from living a full and successful life. And those are the people that I'm trying to reach. You are the people that have the opportunity. If you can take the motivation, take the drive, you can pull yourself out. But you have to do it. You have to be the one to do it. Your family cannot make you. Your friends cannot make you. Your lover, your boyfriend or girlfriend, your husband, your wife, they cannot make you do it. You have to do it yourself. So you have to be honest with yourself about what you want. What do you want out of your life? What do you want out of your goals? And I would strongly urge you, as I said yesterday, do not be pie in the sky with these dreams. Of course, I have the dream that one day I'm gonna be the next, Sandra Bernhard. I'm going to be the next, and that's a really old reference. Sorry, guys. That's the thespian in me. But, I'm never going to be this legendary stage actress. It's okay. My own issues with anxiety and my inability to memorize long strings of lines, that prevents me from doing lead roles. And I'm okay with that. It's all right. I still have a ton of fun doing plays. I love doing community theater. So it was taking that love that I had for theater and coupling it with my own limitations and my own condition and finding a way to adapt it so that I could find happiness in it. So I don't act a whole lot because it can be very stressful. It can be very draining. I probably do maybe one play a year. And every time I do, I think, why don't I do this all the time? But by the end of the run, I realize, I'm exhausted. I haven't spent enough time on myself. I've devoted all my time to this. I need to take a break. So be realistic in what you want to do. And that can be personally, like me with my hobby in theater. It can be professionally as well. In my case, as I said earlier, I decided to step away from the hotline, and I've decided to take something else I'm passionate about, which is yoga and physical health, and I want to use that and couple it to also talk to people about mental health. So I'm currently training to become a yoga instructor, and I specifically want to do therapeutic yoga for seniors and veterans. So I'm still taking my desire and my want to help people, but I'm doing it in a different way that for me, ultimately right now, at this point in my life, is going to be more positive, it's going to be more productive, and it's going to be healthier for me overall. So it's really making assessments like that, really sitting down. And this may not happen overnight, and it may not happen even over a week or a month. You may need to really sit down and start journaling about this and really start to examine yourself. But it really takes a lot of self-reflection. Once you've gotten there, if you really think that you're not going to be safe, if you think that these thoughts are too far gone, you need to consider removing the weapons out of your house. You need to consider getting rid of any drugs in your home that you could hurt yourself with. This could be putting all of these things in a box, and maybe you know, if you don't have anyone at home that you could give these to, maybe you actually bury them in your yard somewhere, you know, or put them in a box and lock them. I knew of one person who would take, they had a very specific tool that they would use for self-harm, and so they actually took that and put it in a like a tub, and they poured water over it, and they stuck it in the freezer. And anytime they thought about self-harm, they had to take that thing out of the freezer and sit there and wait. And by the time, they never even would get to the point that it would melt, because after a while they had calmed down, they had figured out that there was a better solution to this problem, and they put it away. And that's what I would suggest you do. If you have a close family member that you can confide in that would be willing to do that, give them your weapons, give them your pills, let them dispense it for you, let them hold on to it for you until you feel comfortable with letting those things back into your house, if you ever feel comfortable doing that. If it's not an emergency and you don't feel like your life is in immediate danger, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. It's 1-800-273-8255. It's there 24 hours a day. There are trained crisis counselors like myself. Most of them have had personal experiences with mental health issues. Pretty much everybody that I worked with either knew someone or themselves had a mental health issue, or they were an intern learning to become a social worker or a therapist. So all of them have a genuine desire to want to help and to want to talk to you and to want to help get you out of the crisis that you're in. The thing about crisis hotlines is that they're not a replacement for therapists. You don't want to get into the habit of calling a crisis line regularly like you would a therapy appointment, because even though it may in the short term make you feel better, in the long term it's not going to actually solve the problem. Because really, if talk therapy is what you need, and me personally, I actually don't prefer talk therapy. I did it for many years. Personally, I don't find it to be helpful for me any longer, but it's very helpful for a lot of people. So crisis lines should not replace talk therapy if talk therapy is what you need. Crisis lines can be very useful if what you need is to just vent. And when you call, I would be very open about that. Be open about your thoughts. Be open about your intentions. I've always appreciated it when, as soon as I picked up the phone, someone said, look, I'm not actively suicidal. I don't have any weapons in my hand. I'm not going to hurt myself, but I really need to vent about this, and I'm really angry. And I might say things that are alarming, but I want you to understand I'm not going to hurt myself. And when we have that established, it's a lot easier for us to open up. Because ultimately, that's what we care about on the line. We care about keeping you safe. So a lot of people get scared about calling because they think, I'm going to say the wrong thing, I'm going to do the wrong thing, I'm going to end up having the cops at my house. So you have to, I understand that's an issue. And I'm not going to lie to you. That is if you're on the line and you say, matter of factly, I have the weapon in my hand and I'm going to use it, I am contractually obligated to call the police for you. I have to. So you have to understand that. And it's not any sort of personal decision or anything negative against you. It's what I had to do as part of my job, as part of the agreement I made to take those calls. I agreed that if I thought someone was in serious danger, I am obligated to call the police and get them some help. So if you can come on and immediately establish that's not what I'm here for, I need to talk to somebody, and it's just talking, then you can really open up. I've talked to people about very dark, very, traumatic things. And because we had that established agreement, because we had that established trust at the beginning, it was safe for us to explore those topics. So don't feel like these places are like a gotcha kind of phone call. They're not. You just have to know what to say. There's also a really cool crisis text line that's there. If you're like me and you don't like talking on the phone, you can actually text HOME to 741-741 24/7. A trained crisis counselor will text you back, and you can sit there and have a conversation. So there are ways to immediately get help. In the long term, if you do believe that you would like to get therapy, I would strongly, strongly urge you to call 211. It's just like any other 3-digit number, 211 in your phone from your location. Give them your zip code. They will actually give you the numbers, the addresses, the names for therapists, for support groups, for any sort of nonprofit agency that's in your area that specifically wants to help you. And 211 resources are always affordable. They have to offer a sliding fee scale. They're usually nonprofit, so these are going to be affordable things for you to take advantage of. So that's just some quick things that you can do right off the bat to try to help to bring yourself out of this, or to get yourself some help when you start to get concerned about the thoughts that you're having. Again, ultimately, it's up to you. It's up to you to take the initiative and to call these numbers, to text these numbers, to reach out to friends and family, to bring people back into your circle. Because I know it's really easy for us when we're in the middle of a depressive episode. It's very easy to isolate. So all of this takes a lot of work. I am not in any way trying to downplay or say that this is easy. This isn't easy. It's hard. Pulling yourself up out of the darkness is one of the hardest but most rewarding things you could ever do for yourself. I am grateful every single day that I was not successful in my suicide attempt. If I had been successful, I would have never met my amazing boyfriend. I would not have had the best relationship of my life for the last 5 years. We have had our ups and downs. It has been rocky. He's autistic. He is also struggling with thoughts of suicide. I struggle with major depressive disorder. I no longer have thoughts of suicide. I haven't thought about it since the day I woke up in that hospital, 18, 19 years ago. But so we do struggle, but it's been these past, 5, 10 years have been the most rewarding of my life. And just to think that I could have missed out on it, I could have not been here. And now we're talking about starting a family and having children, and just to think that I may have never been able to have that conversation. I may have never been able to have that opportunity. So I'm sorry. This is why I didn't want to. This is why I was dragging on making this. And but I would just say it's hard work, and I know it's hard work, but you can do it. And if you can't do it alone, then reach out for help. And if you don't have anyone to reach out to personally in your life, I'm happy to talk to you. You can reach me at twofingersbourbon@gmail.com. I usually respond within a day. And I want everyone that's struggling right now to know that we understand how hard it is, but we want you to be here and we want you to stay. So go and get help, and I'm going to have links and numbers and everything below. So good luck, okay?